All right, let's jump right into this explainer by confronting the downright terrifying folklore surrounding Bhangarh Fort. Nestled away in the Aravalli Hills of Rajasthan, India, this is a place so intensely feared that even the government legally restricts access at night. We've all heard the spooky stories online, right? But today, we're going to look past the shadows, act as official debunkers, and decode what really happened here. It all starts with an infamous warning sign placed right at the main gate by the Archaeological Survey of India. The local legend says that trespassers who ignore this sign and stay the night hear screaming ghosts and, supposedly, never make it out alive, often meeting their end in mysterious car crashes on the way home. It's a seriously chilling setup, but what is actually lurking in the dark? Consider this explainer your official study guide. Today, we're covering the rise of the city under Rajput rulers, the infamous legends of Bhangarh, the actual science behind ghostly illusions, the very real wildlife hazards, the true story of its political decline and famine, and we'll wrap up with a final myths versus facts exam review. Section 1. Rise under Rajput rulers. Uncovering the Golden Age. You see, Bhangarh wasn't always a ruined ghost town. Founded back in 1573 by the ruler Bhagwan Das for his son Madho Singh, it was actually a vibrant, massive metropolis in the Rajputana. Think about this. At its peak, it housed over 9,000 homes. That's huge for the 16th century. It featured a towering 7-story royal palace, magnificent temples like the Gopinath Temple, and these incredibly bustling bazaars where merchants from all over the region would come to trade. It was a thriving city, just absolutely full of life. So, how on earth did a metropolis of this scale lose all its roofs and just turn to rubble? Section 2. Legends of Bhangarh Fort. The curses that fueled the myth. Locals generally point to 2 dominant legends to explain the ruins. The first one involves a strict ascetic named Baba Balunath, who supposedly gave permission to build the city with one massive catch. The palace shadows could never ever touch his home. Well, when a greedy descendant added a 7th floor, the shadow broke the rule, triggering a curse that leveled the town. The second, kind of more dramatic myth, involves a dark magic practitioner, Tantric Singya. He became totally obsessed with the beautiful Princess Ratnavati and tried to bewitch her with a black magic perfume. But she saw through the trick, smashed the bottle on a boulder, and the magic boulder literally rolled over and crushed him. With his dying breath, he cursed the entire city to complete destruction, condemning its residents to wander as ghosts forever without reincarnation. But here's the absolutely crucial point we need to make as debunkers. There are 0, and I mean absolutely 0, verified historical records of Princess Ratnavati, Tantric Singya, or Baba Balunath. No inscriptions, no contemporary documents, nothing. These foundation characters are pure 100% folklore. They're just local tales passed down from generation to generation, naturally growing a lot more dramatic and terrifying with every single retelling. Section 3. Science of ghostly illusions. Why do people feel a presence? So if the stories are fake, why do visitors genuinely feel terrified there? The first scientific culprit is infrasound. These are sound waves below 20 hertz. Now, you can't actually hear them, but your body physically feels them. They cause vibrations in your organs, triggering dizziness, anxiety, and a sudden intense feeling of dread, like someone is standing right behind you. Bhangarh is full of crumbling old stone buildings, located in a highly active seismic zone. Wind howling through these specific ruins naturally generates infrasound, literally manufacturing a physical sense of terror inside your own body. Add to that the psychological phenomenon of pareidolia. This is a built-in evolutionary trait where our brains are completely hardwired to find faces and human shapes in random patterns. It's how our ancestors spotted predators in the wild. When you're walking through roofless, crumbling pillars in the pitch dark, your brain frantically works to turn every jagged shadow and pile of rubble into a lurking figure. The final piece of the illusion puzzle is suggestibility. In a really famous 2008 experiment at Goldsmiths University, researchers put people in a completely empty, normal white room, but told them it was haunted. A huge percentage reported feeling a presence, dizziness, and sheer terror. Why? Because they expected to. Every tourist entering Bhangarh has already consumed hours of internet videos claiming it's India's most haunted place. Your brain is conditioned to expect a ghost, so it literally creates the illusion of paranormal activity out of thin air. Section 4. Wildlife and Structural Hazards. The real dangers in the dark. Okay, so we have to ask the obvious question. If the science proves there are no ghosts, why does the government strictly ban entry after dark? It's a totally fair question, and the answer has absolutely nothing to do with spirits. The real dangers are much more physical. First, you're dealing with completely unlit 16th century structures that are literally falling apart. Heavy stone roofs and walls can collapse at any moment. But more importantly, Bhangarh is only 50 kilometers from the Sariska Tiger Reserve. This area is absolutely teeming with wildlife. Nighttime brings a very high risk of crossing paths with leopards and Bengal tigers, who use the ruins for shelter. And hey, remember those terrifying stories of women crying in the dark? That is actually just the distinct screeching call of local hyenas echoing through the stone corridors. The real danger here isn't losing your soul, it's becoming a midnight snack. Even the late Gaurav Tiwari, who founded the Indian Paranormal Society, spent a night there with full equipment and firmly concluded, and I quote, "I didn't find any ghost. You will only find monkeys, hyenas, and panthers." When the country's top ghost hunter tells you it's just wildlife, I think the paranormal debate is officially closed. Section 5. Political Decline and Famine, the True Demise of Bhangarh. So, what actually emptied the city? The decline was really a 1-2 punch of politics and climate. By 1720, Bhangarh was captured by Sawai Jai Singh, the ruler who founded the shiny new city of Jaipur. As political power and wealth shifted over to Jaipur, Bhangarh just became an afterthought. But the final nail in the coffin, the real reason Bhangarh became a ghost town, happened in 1783. A devastating El Niño event triggered the horrific Chalisa famine across North India. It was so catastrophic that it wiped out massive chunks of the population. Without water, survival in Bhangarh became completely impossible, and the remaining families simply packed up and abandoned their beautiful city forever. Which brings up a fascinating psychological question, doesn't it? If the historical truth is just a shift in politics and a terrible drought, why do the supernatural myths persist so strongly today? Well, the answer is a mix of human nature and economics. First off, our human brains naturally prefer clear narratives with bad guys. A tantric's dark magic curse is an exciting, memorable story. A devastating drought is just tragically boring. Second, the most haunted tag is incredibly lucrative. It drives a massive local tourism economy that relies entirely on these ghost stories to thrive. Without the ghosts, the tourists stop coming. And finally, social media virality demands exaggeration. Nobody goes viral for posting a nuanced video about 18th century water shortages, right? But claim your phone battery mysteriously drained because of a ghost, and the internet algorithms will reward you instantly. Section 6. Exam Review. Myths versus Facts. The final debrief. Let's lock in what we've learned with a quick exam review summarizing the myths versus the verified historical facts. Myth number 1. A tantric's black magic curse destroyed the town. The historical fact, the devastating 1783 Chalisa famine, combined with the total loss of political relevance to Jaipur, dried up the region's resources and forced the mass abandonment of those 9,000 homes. Myth number 2. Screaming ghosts haunt the dark ruins. The scientific fact, what people are actually experiencing is the acoustic trickery of wind-generated infrasound causing physical dread, combined with the screeching calls of local hyenas that sound eerily like crying women. And finally, myth number 3. The ASI warning sign is government proof of ghosts. The administrative fact, it is a highly practical notice to protect tourists from being attacked by roaming leopards and tigers from the nearby Sariska Reserve, or simply being crushed by crumbling, unlit masonry. I want to leave you with this absolutely brilliant quote from Marie Curie. She said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood." Bhangarh is a masterpiece of Rajput architecture and a really sobering reminder of the devastating power of climate shifts. Once we peel back the layers of suggestibility, infrasounds, and internet algorithms, we aren't left with a terrifying ghost story. We're left with a fascinating piece of history. Knowledge always conquers fear. So it kind of makes you wonder what other quote-unquote haunted places around the world are just waiting for science to shine a light in the dark. Keep asking questions, keep looking for the facts, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.